In this video, we're going to work on the ALEKS problem called solving a linear equation with several occurrences of the variable fractional forms with monomial numerators. So this is going to give us an equality that will have two fractions in it. There are going to be two occurrences of the same variable. I have variable w, and it's asking us to solve for w, simplifying our answer as much as possible. This one is going to be kind of tricky, especially if you don't love fractions. I'm going to start by rewriting the problem just a little bit bigger. I have w over 3 equals w over 4 minus 2. So again, our goal is to solve for w, and that means that we want to isolate that variable all by itself on one side of the equation. Let's isolate that w variable on the left side of the equation. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract w over 4 from both the left side of the equation and the right side of the equation. So that's going to give me on the left w over 3 minus w over 4 is equal to 2. And doing this, I've got those w's isolated on the left-hand side. Now what I'd like to do is this subtraction with the fractions. I can't subtract fractions from each other unless they have the same denominator. These fractions do not have the same denominator, so I'm not going to be able to actually do this subtraction. What I need to do is find the lowest common denominator between these two fractions. Between 3 and 4, a lot of times the lowest common denominator can be found just simply by multiplying the two denominators together. And so in this case, if I multiply 3 times 4, that gives me 12, and that is going to be the lowest common denominator for each of these. So that means that what I need to do is rewrite both of these fractions with a denominator of 12. For the first fraction, I'm going to multiply both the top and the bottom of the fraction by 4. That's going to give me 4w over 12. And so it hasn't changed the value. It's still w over 3 if we simplified it down, but now I have that 12 as my denominator. For the other fraction, I'm going to multiply both the top and the bottom by 3. That's going to give me 3w over 12, and that's equal to, I just realized I lost a negative sign. That 2 is a negative 2. That gives me negative 2. Is that right? I'm going to double check. Negative 2, yeah. Okay, so now that I have the same denominator for both of these fractions, I can go ahead and do the math on this. 4w minus 3w is just w over 12, and that is equal to negative 2. The last thing that I need to do is just multiply both sides of this equation by 12. That's going to get rid of the denominator, is going to get rid of the fraction entirely, and that gives me w equals negative 24 as my answer. Now, if this algebra makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable, if you don't feel very confident in your algebraic skills, you can check your work by taking that value of w and just plugging it back in to the original equation. So let's do that. Let's just make sure that I haven't messed anything up since I almost lost that negative sign on the 2. I'm going to plug in negative 24 as my value of w for this first term, divided by 3, and then for my second term, negative 24 divided by 4 minus 2. Negative 24 divided by 3 is negative 8. Negative 24 divided by 4 is negative 6. And negative 6 minus 2 is negative 8, so I did this problem correctly, and my answer is negative 24.